So I went back to Vogelbaum, and I managed to squeeze the truth out of him. The real truth. What was that plan again?
Oh, well.
Wakey, wakey. Hey, buddy. You're out for quite a while. You can thank me for saving you sometime later, but for now, time to get up. Come on, you're gonna love this. Come on.
Mom?
Wow, look at this handsome devil. Hey, pal. You know who I am?
Homelander.
Yeah, that's right, but...
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. This is going to be my video for Amazon's The Boys. I've gotten a lot of requests to do a video for this series, so hopefully you've had a chance to see it. But if you're brand new to my channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. It did get renewed for Season 2, so yes, there will be a Season 2. The showrunner has even talked about some of the really WTF stuff from the comic book that they plan on doing during Season 3. So it does sound like they have a chance of doing every single thing from the comic book over the next couple of seasons. But as you probably saw during Season 1, they changed a bunch of big things. They pulled way back because the comic is way more graphic than any of the hardcore stuff that you saw in the TV series. Careful for spoilers from The Boys Season 1 if you have not seen the series yet, because we'll be talking about very specific details, Homelander's secret plan that he's been enacting all season, as well as all the big things that they reveal at the end of the season in these scenes here. But if you're a little confused about what's going on, it's basically meant to be a dark parody of the Justice League and DC characters. What happened was that when Garth Ennis created the series with Dick Robertson, they were publishing it through Wildstorm at DC Comics, but because of the subject matter and how graphic they got with the stuff that their Homelander, who's basically a dark version of Superman, and all the other heroes who are analogs of Justice League characters were doing, the DC was just not comfortable with them publishing, so they canceled the comic book series after 6 issues, and Garth Ennis had to take the comic book to another publisher, which wound up being Dynamite Entertainment, and they finished the rest of the 72 issues. So there are 72 issues total, so I'm guessing they'll get through almost all the comic book stuff within 3 or 4 seasons. So starting with number 5, the ending here, Butcher is confronting Homelander, hoping that he can either force him to stand trial or kill him somehow. But the thing is that the Compound V superheroes within this world don't really have weaknesses like the heroes inside the DC universe do. Like Superman has kryptonite, but in the world of The Boys, there is no kryptonite. Homelander is virtually invulnerable, so you find that people get creative in trying to control him using various means. So Homelander has this really weird, messed up sexual relationship with Stillwell. Butcher knows that, and he's going to try and use Stillwell to try and get Homelander to do what he wants him to do. But what Butcher doesn't know in this scene is that Homelander himself also has a vendetta against Stillwell and is sort of turned against Vought American a little bit because of secrets that he's learned about his own past. So you have 3 really big, long-running plots all converging in this moment here. Homelander learning secrets about himself, Butcher learning secrets about his past, then Stillwell and Vought learning secrets that Homelander has been keeping from them. Within the world of The Boys, pretty much everyone is double-crossing everyone else. Supers and regular people alike. Butcher is double-crossing and lying to all the people that he's working with. Homelander is lying to all the people that he's working with. Stillwell is lying to all the people that she's working with. So I was a little surprised by how quickly they were revealing some of these big things from later on in the comic book. But number 4, quick backstory, Butcher's reason for hating Homelander is because Butcher believes that Homelander assaulted and impregnated his wife a long time ago, preceding the events of Season 1. So he's had this long-running vendetta against Homelander for a long time. Eventually what happened is that through the government, he formed a team called The Boys Then later, they just went so off the rails and got so hardcore in trying to police superheroes that the government disavowed Butcher in The Boys, and he's been running this side operation on the DL this whole time. But he's trying to get back in the good graces of the government because now he's finally learned about the secret of Compound V and where all these superheroes come from. So he believes that he has enough compelling evidence to force all these supers to stand trial and turn the public against them. Because, like I said, there are no real natural weaknesses that Homelander has, so you can't kill him unless you have someone that's stronger than him, which I'll get to in a second. Because, like I said, lots of big secrets being revealed. You're just meant to believe at the end of season 1 that there is literally nothing that can kill Homelander. For right now, they can only attack him in psychological and emotional ways. But Vought always does have a second plan. Like I said, everyone is double-crossing everyone else, so Vought has been double-crossing Homelander this whole time. We see a flashback watching the person that we learn to be Butcher's wife seemingly giving birth to Homelander's baby, but you're led to believe that she died during childbirth. Butcher later explains that she either terminated the pregnancy, then killed herself, or the baby killed her, but he hasn't seen her in years, so he assumes that she died the worst possible death she could have. He feels like he has nothing left to lose, that's why he's using these crazy last-ditch attempts. The reason why Homelander is confronting Stillwell in this scene now, the reason why he hates them, is because he just learned a deep secret about his past that they've been using to control him. The whole idea is that he's so valuable to this company's balance sheet, he earns so much money for them, that they'll do anything to keep him towing the line so that they don't lose any potential money. And the whole idea of season 1 is that they're trying to get the military and the US government to start using superheroes and funding their programs. The government doesn't really like superheroes, they don't trust them, the military generals don't want to have anything to do with them because they believe that the superheroes are loyal to Vought because they're on their payroll. Of course they're right to not trust the superheroes, they're terrible. So Vought has been doing everything it can with Stillwell to try and get them to accept the superheroes. But we also learned that Homelander has been trying to do the same thing by himself with a secret long-running plan that I'll talk about in a second, but that's not exactly why he's really pissed off at Stillwell and Vought here. This is mostly about Vought and Stillwell lying to him about his potential love child with Butcher's wife. One of the other long-running beliefs that he has during the series growing up is that they told him that he's not capable of fathering children, because if he were to ever have a child, then his loyalty might be to that child and not to the company anymore. He might leave them. So they just lie to him that it's not possible for him to have children. So it sort of twists him up inside and informs some of the reasons why he's so dark. Like maybe he wouldn't be so hardcore if he believed that he could have a family of his own. There are a couple of moments during the series where they try to get you to sympathize with Homelander. They show you his life as a child. No one would hug him. They just kept him in the middle of this secret safe room because as a baby, he was so powerful that if he were to just accidentally use his powers on someone, he could kill an entire room of people, even as an infant like this. He had a terrible childhood, which is part of the reason why he's such a psychopath in present day. Everything that he says about his backstory is all a fabrication from Vought. The real secret of all these superheroes is that they were all created in a lab as babies, but people have been trying to test whether or not you can turn adults into superheroes using Compound V. But number 2, the big WTF reveal in that end credits scene is Butcher learning that his wife did not die and eventually gave birth successfully to Homelander's love child. So he's revealing himself to this little kid, I'm your father, and you have Butcher's former wife, or still wife, because technically I guess they didn't get divorced. Seeing Butcher there, and you can see this worry on her face, like they don't want to completely demonize her. It seems like maybe she didn't want to terminate the child because it was literally trying to claw its way out of her belly, the last you saw. But it sounds like because she was just so torn up and didn't know what to do, she just went running and just trying to been living in isolation and raise this child by herself. Like she just doesn't want to deal with all the craziness and doesn't want to have anything to do with Homelander and seems too remorseful to want to confront Butcher about the whole thing. She's meant to be more of a victim of the situation, but because all these secrets are literally coming out in the light of day, now you have to deal with it during season 2. Homelander sort of throws this in Butcher's face. So Homelander's trying to tell Butcher that the whole reason you've been doing this big crusade of yours, creating the boys and doing all these things during season 1, it's all because of a lie. You shouldn't be hating me for the reason that you hate me right now. Although Homelander is still a pretty terrible person, and there's a number of other reasons why you'd be justified in wanting to get rid of him. But number 1, the big long-running plan that Homelander has been enacting this whole time, lying to Vought, he eventually comes clean to Stillwell about what he's been doing. is because of this plan to get superheroes in the military. We learn that Homelander has been using A-Train to run Compound V to terrorist cells all over the world, making it seem like there are threats all over the world, then the military will have to let them in. Because if all these terrorists have their own superheroes, then think about the damage they could cause. The only way to fight superheroes is with another superhero. This also gets into another big idea about how you get rid of Homelander. But Homelander wants to prove himself that he's really smart, because this whole time they just sort of treat him like he's a dummy. Homelander resents them for this, and he also takes measures to protect his plan. Early on, there's another politician from Baltimore who's thinking about bringing superheroes into his city to protect it because crime is getting so bad. He learns the secret about Compound V and threatens to tell the public about it. On his own, Homelander goes and secretly kills him while he's on his flight to prevent him from letting that secret out, so that the public won't eventually learn about his own secret Compound V plan. And talk about things coming full circle. At the beginning of the series, Huey's fiancée is killed by A-Train when he just runs right through her without paying attention. We don't find out what he was doing till later. It was running Compound V to all those terrorist cells around the world as part of Homelander's grand plan. So all these characters are deeply connected by a bunch of secrets that each of them are keeping from the other people involved. Getting into Season 2, there's still a lot of big comic book reveals that they have not done on the TV show yet. You're still meant to believe that Homelander is completely invincible. That is not completely true. And because now Butcher knows about the existence of Homelander's son, there's another question that's raised, which is a change from the comic books, as to what Butcher is going to do about Homelander's son. Is he going to threaten his life to try and get Homelander to do what he wants him to do? Or is he going to be more sympathetic because technically his wife is still alive, he still loves his wife, and this child belongs to his wife, so hurting the child would also hurt his wife. So in answering a lot of these big long-running questions, they also raise even bigger questions for them to answer during Season 2. But post all your reactions in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of The Boys Season 1. It is a nice change of pace if you've been watching more traditional superhero fare, all the Marvel, the PG-13 stuff. This is meant to be hard R, and like I said, they pulled way back on the comic book. If you want the full uncensored version, just read the comic book. But if you have any big questions about the series, just leave them in the comments. I'm working on new Marvel and new DC that should post pretty soon. But click here to learn about Batman Beyond coming to The Flash Season 6 and Crisis on Infinite Earths. And click here for my Deadpool 3 teaser video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.